Hey guys, thank you so much for watching and I hope you're having a great day. Lately I have completely had the travel bug and really wanted to go away on a trip, so I thought I would do a travel themed video and give you guys some tips on how to travel the world on a really small budget. This is something that I've done personally. I've done quite a few really long trips. I've done 7 weeks in Western Europe and I saw 10 countries, and I've done Southeast Asia, Australia, New Zealand, Philippines, India, and that was, over a year-long trip. And both of those trips I did on a really small budget. So I thought I would share some of the info that I learned along the way and really good tips in order to save a lot of money and allow you to stay traveling for longer. So the first tip, and this is a big one and it can pretty much apply to anything on your trip, is be as flexible as possible. If you are picky or you need to have things a certain way, you're going to pay more for that. For example, starting with your flights, if you have to fly a certain airline and you only want to fly during the daytime, not overnight, and you want to get there on direct flights, and you have certain set dates, then you're pretty much forced to pay whatever those flights cost on that date. But if you can be flexible and travel a week or two later when the prices go down, or fly with a budget airline and maybe instead of a direct flight take one that has some stopovers, then you can save yourself hundreds of dollars. And that flexibility also can apply to accommodation. If you want to stay on a beachfront resort that's 5-star, obviously you're going to spend a lot of money. But if you're flexible and maybe stay outside of the main area of that city or town and away from the touristy destinations, then you can also save yourself a lot of money. Obviously, backpackers hostels are a lot less expensive than staying at a hotel. Or if you know people in that area, you can maybe share accommodation. There's Airbnb. There's tons of options as far as accommodation goes. But if you're flexible and you are not super picky, then you can save a lot of money, especially if you're planning to go away for a long time, because it all adds up. My next tip would be for eating out, and that is something that I think people underestimate how much money gets blown on eating at restaurants. Even if you're in a country that's not so expensive, or you're eating at places like a pizza shop or not something too expensive, but once you add up all of those expenses, if you're gone for a few months on that trip, you would be shocked at how much money you've spent. And if you're in a warm climate and you want to eat on the beach or at a nice forest or in front of a waterfall, why not just go to a grocery store, get, if you want to make sandwiches, get the food to make sandwiches or a big salad, and get your drinks and snacks at the grocery store. Then you have enough to last you for a week, and you can make your own meals and go eat them at a picnic on the beach or in front of that waterfall, and you can have an amazing time. You're saving money because you're not tipping the waiter. You're not obviously the food at the restaurants are going to be a lot more expensive than making your own meal. And yeah, so that's a big one. You can save a lot of money, and it can be really enjoyable. You don't have to look at it like a lesser fun option. It can still be an amazing experience. And if you're like me, when you go traveling, you just want to experience the beauty of that place. It's not just about having fine dining, and that's a wonderful experience. Maybe just do that once or twice, but not every single night, because it really does add up. Another one that I would say is, if you're wanting to be gone for many months and you want to see multiple places and you don't have that much money, then of course you can work while you're there. And I would suggest taking a unique job that is fun, that you would otherwise never have done. I've said in some of my other videos, when I was in Australia, I worked at a rock melon farm, which is like a cantaloupe farm barn thing, and I was basically boxing up melons and pushing them off of a conveyor belt so that they could be sent to grocery stores. This was a really random job, but I met other people who were traveling, who were doing the same job, and we could talk and have fun and have our lunches together, and it actually paid very, very well, and it was only like a half a day kind of a job. And another thing that you can do that a lot of people did while I was traveling is you can offer to clean the hotel or hostel that you're staying in so that you can have free accommodation. Or maybe they need a receptionist for, a few hours of the day in the morning or something, so that you can do that and that would pay for your accommodation. So then your money is going to last a lot longer. Another tip that I would say, and this is a really, I guess, unknown one, but I would take advantage of free stopovers. So if you are flying, for example, Cathay Pacific, which is Hong Kong's airline, and you're flying from New York to Sydney, Australia, most likely that flight is going to stop in Hong Kong first, just maybe for a few hours, because that's their hub airport, that's their hub city, is Hong Kong. So what I would do is call the airline and ask if you can extend that stopover for a week. So then you're pretty much getting a free trip to Hong Kong for the same price of that original flight that you were going to buy, and that applies to any airline and their hub cities. And that can apply to any airline. So say you're flying from New York to Sydney again, but with Air New Zealand, that flight is most likely going to stop in Auckland, New Zealand on the way. So you can call them and ask if it's possible to extend that stopover, and then you can have a week or two to spend in New Zealand, and that flight is essentially free now. Sometimes they do charge a small fee, like maybe $50 or $100, depending on the airline, but it's an awesome option if you're wanting to see as many places as possible. Next, I would say choosing countries where the cost of living is a lot lower than where you live. For example, I live in Canada, but traveling to Australia was actually quite expensive compared to where I live. It was probably at par, but maybe even a little bit more expensive in Australia. Whereas when I went to Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, Indonesia, Malaysia, those places, my money went a lot farther because the Canadian dollar at the time was stronger than those currencies. So obviously this is going to vary depending on when you travel because the currencies are constantly shifting. For example, right now it's pretty expensive for me to travel to the States because the US dollar is a lot stronger than it was a few years ago. But for people from the States, if they want to come to Canada, their money is going to go a little bit further. So it's a great time to visit Canada and do any travel that you want to do in Canada. So those are my tips, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have any travels planned, I hope you have an amazing time. Live it up, enjoy, and let me know in the comment section below if you have any trips planned for this summer. See you guys soon, and have a great day. Bye!